The spirit of Ultimate Warrior will run forever!
Welcome everyone, Kyle here, and it is Saturday, and you know what that means. It's time for all the toy news and action figure news of the week that interested me, that hopefully interests you. And we got a ton of news this week. A ton of pre-orders went up. Of course, the Walmart Collector Con this week, and a lot of other stuff going on. So a ton of news to get to, but before we do that, let's do some housekeeping. And of course, we always started off with Patreon. Thank you to all the Patreon subscribers and supporters out there. Thank you guys for all following along and all that kind of stuff. The dedicated hardcore or the hardcore fans. You guys got bombarded with a lot of videos this week. I think you got about, I don't know, 20 Classic Superstars videos this week on Patreon. You'll probably see those non-Patreon members. You'll be able to see those videos probably May of 2024 is probably when those will release. So you get ahead on all the videos on the channel being a Patreon supporter, among other things. And some of those other things are the giveaways. And of course, we're in March right now. We've got Bobby Lashley top picks. We got the Luminaries Chris Jericho. This is the giveaway for the month of March. But we're not done with giveaways here on the channel. Take a look at the weekly purchases video. Of course, a Sunday staple here on the channel. Weekly purchases this week. We are going to celebrate the 3-year anniversary of this very YouTube channel. Can you believe it was 3 years ago we started this channel, or I started this channel, I guess, however you want to claim it. But we will do multiple giveaways tomorrow, and we will have a special announcement for the future here a little bit. So check out weekly purchases tomorrow. Should be a good one. We'll have a 3-year giveaway announcement. We'll have another fun announcement for a giveaway. And like I said, a special announcement in tomorrow's weekly purchases. So mark your calendars. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. All that kind of fun stuff. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Stop the clock. Can you believe this news? Right as I was finishing up the toy news video, getting all the editing done, getting ready to put this video off to bed and on to the next one as we do here on the channel, NECA came in hot on Friday night. It doesn't get hotter than this. It's like that Texas sun is beating down on my skin. As we did get an announcement from NECA, guess who's coming to the line? Old Willie Nelson, which leads me to believe, could Waylon, Willie, and the boys come to the NECA line in the future? Man, if we get a Waylon Jennings figure, I got the Lemmy figure coming, I don't know what's going to happen in my life. That might just be the end of my figure collecting. That's the pinnacle right there. But Willie, man oh man, day one purchase for me. I'm all in on some Willie Nelson figures. I love this idea. They even got Trigger there. It'll be interesting how detailed the Trigger guitar is, but man oh man, I'm fired up. I'm jazzed up. I'm all in for a Willie Nelson NECA figure coming soon this summer. Dive into the news this week, and it was a busy news week, like I did say, and I guess let's start with wrestling. That's usually where we're going to start. We're going to go to the Walmart Collector Con, which we'll go there a few times in this very video, but we did get some pre-orders on Thursday, and how about this? It was one that was kept pretty much under wraps. We weren't really in the know on any of this stuff. There was none of this stuff from Mattel, hey guys, it's Monday, this Thursday, pre-order this, this, and this. We didn't get any of that. It was just a drop, and I actually had to do a bunch of separate orders because, oh, I ordered these things, and then all of a sudden I see, oh my gosh, this is coming up, so I order these, and then I think that happened about 4 times. I think I did 4 separate orders on the Walmart Con. But let's dive into what we saw yesterday. Really cool for a lot of collectors out there was the Ultimate Edition Eddie Guerrero. We're getting Eddie Guerrero Ultimate, kind of the Legends, early Legends figure redone in Ultimate form with all the Ultimate bells and whistles, and it does seem to point to, in the future, it is going to be a Walmart exclusive Ruthless Aggression Ultimate line. We do know the Ruthless Aggression Elite line is a Walmart exclusive. Now we're going to get Ultimate Edition Ruthless Aggression figures from Walmart. Walmart really ramping up their game seemingly here with a lot of different exclusives from the WWE brand. We'll see what that means come reset season, all that kind of stuff. Sounds like this Ultimate Edition and all the Ultimate Editions are going to ship in August. We'll see what happens. And the one thing about this Walmart Con is how many times have we been disappointed by Walmart over the last couple of years? Many, many times. Canceled orders, delayed orders. We see Paul Mart jumping way to the front of the line, shipping this stuff out months ahead of time. It's going to be interesting. I have a feeling I'll be canceling a lot of these orders in the next couple of months and probably picking them up at Walmart is what will end up happening. But we'll see. We'll hope for the best. We'll hope for Walmart to come through. And if they come through, hopefully they send them in mint-on-card packages. That is another big gripe we have. We've talked about that ad nauseum here on the channel in the past. But we saw Eddie Guerrero, a very cool one, and his wave mate, his partner in this set, will be Rey Mysterio Jr. in an Ultimate Edition form. And this is an upgrade to an old Entrance Great, and even back to an old Jack-specific Ruthless Aggression exclusive. It is his Mania gear, kind of a, I don't know, the Aztec-inspired Rey Mysterio. A very cool, very iconic, and a favorite look of mine for Rey Mysterio. Now we're getting this in the Ultimate line. So a lot of these older, early on Mattel favorites from the Legends lines, the Elite line, and then of course the Entrance Greats line, we're getting those redone, new pinless joints, Ultimate Edition style, getting some changes to that. I can see longtime collectors saying they want something new, but we always got to take that business step back and say there's a lot of new collectors since those days. It is technically an upgrade. It is a different kind of format, so you can't be really too mad, because guess what? Mattel, they are a business like all these other toy companies. If they see money to be made, they're going to go back to those looks of the past superstars. Instead of something totally new or different, if they feel they can make more money. It is a business at the end of the day. I know we hate to admit that sometimes, but that is the case. But Eddie, Rey, Ruthless Aggression style Ultimates coming very soon, end of summer, to Walmart. But then we did get a little Easter egg, a little point to the future a little bit from Mattel. Steve Ogier on his Instagram, he did say coming soon as well is going to be RVD Ultimate. That should be an all-timer. Can't wait to see what attire he's in for that. And then a Brock Lesnar Ultimate, which is a little bit of a head-scratcher. I can see a lot of reuse put together with that one. Brock's had a lot of figures, of course. He is a tip-top guy. I just think there's a lot of Ultimates from the Ruthless Aggression era we'd probably rather have than Brock at this point, but we'll see. Hopefully it's a really cool, detailed figure. Hopefully it's something that feels different. That's what we need with an early version of Brock, because we did get a Ruthless Aggression one fairly recently, and I think that does it for a lot of people in their collections. I think that's good enough, but we'll see where that one ends up shaking out too. We also saw a little leaked lineup going on. You know, a little bit of a leaked action. A lot of this stuff we already knew, and I'll put the graphic up here. You can kind of look. But we knew most of these things were already coming out. We talked about them in some of the reveal videos, things like that. But the ones that were new that we really didn't know that were coming, but I guess we would assume that was coming, part of, once again, the Walmart exclusive Ruthless Aggression line, we got The Rock. No chance we're not getting Rocks in every single line possible, as we do know. So we got The Rock coming. We got JBL, one I've been calling for a long time. We needed more JBL figures. We needed an updated JBL figure. It looks like we'll get pinless joints and all the bells and whistles with that. So I hope it is different than his prior Elite. I hope they give us something a little bit different than that, but I got to think it'll be very similar to that. But JBL, one that makes all the sense in the Ruthless Aggression era. We got the Miz. I got to think this is going to be an old school Miz, almost like Chick Magnet Miz. I'm okay with that. I'd love to see a variation on that. We've had a few Mizes over the years. We're kind of in the Miz zone of what he's been the last few years, but I'd like a totally different representation of the Miz, taking it all the way back to his early beginnings back in the Ruthless Aggression era. That works for me. And then one of my all-time favorite characters from the Ruthless Aggression era, heck, still to this day, is MVP. Absolutely love MVP. Gonna get one. Have to imagine we'll get one of the old bodies updated and stuff. Once again, I hope they just give us some new colors, a different take, not just a straight up re-release. So we'll see where that lines up here. But Walmart coming with a lot of that stuff. Of course, it did also leak the Ultimates we just talked about. And then some of the other Ruthless Aggression ones like Eric Bischoff, Torrie Wilson. We saw pictures of those. I fully expect to see those probably in figure form at WrestleMania Access event, where they show off a lot of the new stuff, and more on that in the channel here. And maybe tomorrow's video and weeks to come as well. But a lot of cool stuff coming to Walmart for sure. But that wasn't it. We also saw a few other things. We saw the Wreckin' Stone Cold monster truck. Apparently that's going to be a Walmart exclusive. That's a long game item for me. It is really cool. Of course, you remember back to the heyday of Stone Cold riding around the monster truck, crushing cars, things like that. It does work. It is kind of cool, but at the same time, it is really for the kids. Oh, it's for the kids, as we all know. But it does look okay. It only seats really one figure by the looks of things. But like I said, for me, that's a long game clearance item. I wouldn't lose any sleep if I didn't end up picking it up. That's for sure. But if you're into Stone Cold, you want that as part of your Stone Cold display. That's kind of a must-have, if you ask me. And then a really cool one. We got the WWE Superstars. We got Hulk Hogan and Roddy Piper. A little curveball thrown at us with the Hulk Hogan figure. Sounds like we will have a blue chase attire. And then we got the yellow attire, the classic Hulkamania attire, as the normal release. Very cool. I'm just kind of chased out, though. I really would not like to have chases in this line, but it is what it is. If there's money to be made, always follow the money in whatever you do, as we always say. It's not a conspiracy, unless Jesse wants to chime in.
You ever wonder if they're watching your every move? Cell phones, internet, surveillance, think about it.
Jesse, great friend of the channel. Thank Jesse for being on the Toy News video last week. If you missed that, Jesse gives us a lot of insight in that video. So go back to last Saturday's video if you missed Jesse Ventura. But this Hulk Hogan's an interesting one. Let's start with this. I love that they gave us a brand new head sculpt for Hulk Hogan. They could have went back and gave us the Masters WWE Universe head sculpt. They could have gave a tweak on that, but we got something entirely new. So you got to commend Mattel for that. The outfit is interesting. It almost looks like Hulk Hogan getting ready to go to a slumber party. It's like his slumber party outfit is what it looks like. Very interesting, and of course, it is in the classic yellow with the red knee pads. Basically, your classic Hulk Hogan, which is definitely needed for this line. The yin and yang to the Hollywood Hogan. But there's going to be a chase version as well. That is going to be the blue tights. I always kind of think this of the Rip version from No Holds Barred. But he did wear this, a little American-made Hogan. Would have loved a soft goods American-made shirt for this one as well. But it is what it is. I'm hoping it will be fairly easy to spot the chase. I believe you should be able to see the boots on the Hulkster there. So if you can see his boots being yellow, you know it's the regular edition. But if you see blue boots on him, you should be able to tell, oh, that's the chase edition. So I hope it is that easy, because my big fear was he's covered up in his slumber party outfit. You can't tell what's a chase unless you unbox it. That could get very expensive going through 5 or 6 of those trying to get to the blue chase. But we'll see what happens with that. But a good Hulk Hogan looking nice. And then Roddy Piper, same thing. They could have used the Masters WWE Universe head. Thankfully, they did not. I felt that was one of the worst heads from that line, in all honesty. We're getting a classic Roddy Piper. One of my all-time favorites as well. Happy to get him. He definitely deserves to be in this line, so very excited to get him. Both these guys up for pre-order. Both of the Ultimates up for pre-order. And then we also had one last pre-order from the regular Ruthless Aggression line. We had Edge go up. And Edge, one of my favorite all-time Ruthless Aggression Jakks figures from way back in the day, is that Edge. So it's going to be very cool to have a Mattel counterpart to that figure all these years later. Have to believe, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, there's another Collector Con event from Walmart coming up. I would have to think maybe Torrie Wilson and Eric Bischoff and some of the rest of that little wave, usually they're a wave of 3, I believe, should be coming for pre-order, so I guess we'll stay tuned for that one. But very exciting to get legends that don't really feel legends, but they technically are legends, and that's Ruthless Aggression at this point. I do say, and I've said this on the channel before, I almost feel like Mattel has milked the classic 80s wave of figures, even into the early 90s, pretty hard for a long time. There's a whole new fan base that has come into wrestling figure fandom, that the Ruthless Aggression line was their Hulk Hogan Ultimate Warrior line for somebody like me. So it's a little bit of the changing of the guards. In some ways, it's a little bit sad, honestly, for longtime collectors like me who love our Warriors, the Legion of Dooms, the Hogans of the world and stuff. But it's also kind of exciting to see what new figures we can get. Who can we get? The Attitude Era figures. Can we get more of those guys? So a little changing of the guard, always a little bit of sadness, always a little confusion. You're going to lose some collectors, but you're probably going to gain more than you lose, because let's be honest, the ones from the heyday of the 80s and even 70s, they're getting up there in age, and maybe they're not collecting. They're looking a little closer to retirement, things like that. I get it. I know I'm going to be there in maybe 20 years or so. I'm going to be having to cut my losses and sell all this stuff and get out as I retire, and hopefully retire as early as my dad did. I don't think that's going to happen, but we'll see what happens. But it's definitely changing of the guard, changing of the eras with the Ruthless Aggression. A lot of people are happy about that, and I do think we'll see some lapsed collectors jump back in, because that was their childhood figures. Nostalgia is a heck of a drug, and Ruthless Aggression figures era, that is nostalgia to a large part of the fan base and former fan base of the WWE. So we did see all that going on. The final little bit of Mattel wrestling news this week is pick up your figure at Walmart, scan the code, save your receipt, and you can play as John Cena in WWE 2K23. You can play as John Cena as an action figure if you really are into that thing. I really want to get back into video games. I absolutely have no time. You wouldn't believe, I have to be the most busiest man in the world. It's very possible I am. You wouldn't believe the travel schedule I have starting next week. I'm basically gone for a month straight. Basically gone, and guess what? There's going to be no lapse in content either. I don't mess around. I don't sleep. I'll do these in the middle of the night. I will get ahead. I'll figure something out. But a very interesting thing with video games is I would love to play them. I just don't have time. But I know a lot of you guys do have time. It seems some are enjoying the game. Some aren't, like all games out there. But if you want to play as John Cena in the game as an action figure, it sounds like there's going to be shippers and things like that at Walmart. You scan the QR code, follow the instructions, and bam, you're going to be off to the races as John Cena in action figure form in a video game. So how about that? Should be an interesting one. Now getting down to some other wrestling figure news this week and a few things that came out of left field. We did see Impact Wrestling. Of course, Impact. I watch Impact every Thursday night when I'm editing videos late at night. I will put on Impact, and it is an enjoyable show. It moves pretty fast. It's definitely not WWE. It's not AEW. It's somewhere in the middle, and it fits a little bit of a niche, and it's just feels a little bit simpler. I don't know if that makes sense. One show, one kind of contained show where AEW's got Dark and Elevations, all this kind of stuff, and WWE's got Raw, SmackDown, NXT, Superstars, all this other stuff, and pay-per-views all the time, where Impact just feels a little bit more condensed. But Impact finally getting figures, and we knew these were coming a while back. I think they were originally Cella figures, I guess technically maybe Epic Toys now. That whole confusion, gray area in that really just kind of messes with your head. But we do have these figures coming, and it sounds like they go up for pre-order yesterday, which was Friday, of course. 1 month pre-order, get your pre-order in, and then they are being sold by the Impact Wrestling website as well. I forgot to mention that. But a 1 month pre-order. Very interesting here, as all we've seen is some very cartoony graphics. I'm not really sure how that pre-order system works. They really should have had some finished prototypes at the very least if they're going to put pre-orders up for these. Just seems very strange. And even stranger, it sounds like these are going to ship in June, July. I would not hold my breath on a June, July time frame for these, because how do you go from just cartoon renders to actual figures, unpackaging everything else in June, July timeframe? I just don't see that turnaround. Unless you're a Mattel or somebody like that, they could possibly do it. But one of these small companies, I just don't feel like that turnaround is reasonable. But I hope they prove me wrong. But it'll be an interesting set to see how this shakes down. I don't know. I'd be curious to you guys. Are you picking these up? I will definitely pick them up. Want to see what all the fuss is about, see how these go. But it should be an interesting one. Heck, the Jordan Grace figure's already out of date. You know, she's lost a ton of weight, really chiseled up and all that kind of stuff. So it'll be interesting to see how this set goes, how well it performs, and will we get a Series 2 down the road. Same thing could be said about MLW figures we talked about a month or so ago. Those are going to be coming to market sometime this year as well. So really a golden time to be a wrestling figure collector, as we all do know. Now getting into a few other things. I forgot to mention this last week. Asylum Wrestling Store. We know they're making Superstars type figures. We got Vicious and Delicious, Earl Hebner's, and the LOD in Series 1. Series 2 kicking off with Eddie Guerrero. The Eddie Guerrero license going all over the place. We're seeing it from Mattel. We're seeing it from Asylum, Epic Toys. Who knows who else will get the Eddie Guerrero license. Kind of an Andre the Giant jumping around to all these different licensees and places like that. So very interesting times for Eddie Guerrero. But if you're into that, sounds like Asylum Toys will be making that. We did see good friends of the channel, Ringside Collectibles, use discount code Kyle, save yourself 10%, put up an AEW belt pack. Kind of iffy on that. I guess it's great if, let's say, you're buying loose figures and they don't come with the belt. You need extra belts. You lost some belts. Here's a chance to get some belts. But it's, you know, the AEW tag team title. It is the TNT title. And then it's, of course, their world title. Titles we've had on a pretty fairly regular basis, on all honesty. So nothing too exciting with that. But if you're into belts, you need that. Hey, there you go. You can pick those guys up right there. And now we turn our attention to the retro carded figures of the week. We need a little intro. We need a little song, a little jingle or something. Maybe one of these days we'll get something like that. But let's talk little retro figures. We did see Hastel Toys. They threw up a grayscale version of Mabel. Mabel is coming to his line. It'll be interesting. He kind of has that Yokozuna feel. I think he will be about the size of Yokozuna, which does work for me because we have to think if Hasbro was still making this, they would have used the Yokozuna body for him. I think that would have fit. So I'm hoping that fits in pretty well. I have a feeling it will. We also saw Tio Savio Vega. We saw pictures of him compared next to some Hasbros. Gotta say, it looks good with that new updated head sculpt. We'll see where all these guys end up shaking out, where they end up going, but I thought they looked pretty good. Now we turn our attention over to Epic Toys and the former Cella Toys. Like I said, that big gray area between all that, very interesting. But we did see prototype samples this week of Tangaloa, King Haku, Hollywood Nova, Big Stevie Cool, and of course the Blue Meanie. Blue Meanie being the most far ahead, which he should be because they already made him one time. But the other ones, gosh, it feels like they should be way past this point. I feel like we pre-ordered those well over a year ago. Yes, they had some issues with the changing of the guard over there, but man, we got to get these things out faster. And I know a lot of people online, myself included, it just seems like it's artwork, prototypes, things like that, but nothing actually in our hands. But we always talk about it. They got to promote themselves all the time, so they got to give us us a little picture of every step of the way to be a little faster. Instead of a slow walk, let's get a good pace going on there. But we did see these guys. They look okay. I did pre-order the BWO. I did pre-order King Haku. So I'm excited for those when they come. Hopefully this year. Have to imagine it'll be sometime later on this year. But we did see those. KWK, we've talked about them. There's been some controversy. Dare I say some conspiracy?
You ever wonder if they're watching your every move? Cell phones, internet, surveillance. Think about it.
Yes, about them. And a lot of negative feedback and positive feedback. It's the yin and the yang, and we say it all the time on the channel, especially for companies like this. Any publicity is good publicity. These are small companies. They got to get their name out. And without the controversy of the name and likeness rights issue from the last week, a lot of people didn't even know about KWK and the retro style figures until then. So yes, it was negative, but it turned positive, getting brand awareness out there. But this week we saw pictures of the Los Conquistadors who did sign. And of course they signed. I said that all along. You're going to give me money? Okay, I'll take money. And if they really thought it was worth a lot on that trademark, I mean, we got to talk business here. And we talked about it last week. KWK, they signed him in China courts. They did the legal thing that was right over there. I guess you could say either way, is it the right thing to do or not? But it was legal at the end of the day. So that's laws. I know there's gray areas, things like that. But the Conquistadors, if they really valued the name and the brand and the likeness, wouldn't you think they would trademark that? We see wrestlers all over the place dying to get their trademarks. Well, Los Conquistadors aren't paying the fee to keep that trademark up. You wonder why? Well, it's lack of money. They don't feel they can make enough money to pay off that and live comfortably and make it worth the work there. So you got to take that for what it is a little bit here. So they, of course, signed. Why would they not? Any money is better than no money. You get an action figure you can take to signings, things like that. I mean, it makes all the sense in the world. I know people argue about the practices, but it's business at the end of the day. It's not friendship, and we all know how that goes as well. But Conquistadors are signed. Haystacks Calhoun getting a little bit more challenging. And once again, he didn't have to. He bought the trademark, so he could technically do that. That's just the way it goes in business. That happens all the time, as we talked about last week. But Haystacks, as of now, been delayed. We'll see if he does come out down the road. We'll see what happens. But we also saw a little teaser on Friday. Sounds like a female figure is coming to the line. We'll see who it is. We got a little teaser image. Have to think in the next week or so we'll find out who that female is that's coming to the KWK brand. So whoa, 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 stop the clock. And back in here, breaking in and talking a little KWK once again, as I did show in this very video, the teaser, an interesting teaser of the KWK's first female figure. Well, who is it? Well, I could do the reveal right here on the channel, as it was sent to me to reveal in this very video. We are getting a retro style ODB figure, and that makes sense why we got that image as the representation as the teaser. Because to be honest, ODB was not shy showing those off in the ring, as we do know. But very cool to get a retro figure. It'll be interesting to see how this compares to the Luna Vachon or possibly the Missy Hyatt, if that comes out anytime soon, as the retro female landscape has kind of been all over the place, and KWK and Sean over there has said this will be a very good figure, but of course they're going to say that. But I have to think, if it looks like the Kamalas we've seen in some of these other figure prototypes, this should be a very good female figure. So it's an interesting landscape right now in the retro market, especially in the female department, but ODB coming at you soon. Another interesting week of retro. It's always interesting weeks on the retro figures, as we do know. There's always a lot going on. There's always announcements. There's always something up in the retro game. But turning our attention away from wrestling, finally, we got some other news this week and more Walmart stuff here shortly. But we did talk last week about the Super 7 Ultimates new Ninja Turtle line, of the big detour they did take, and what the heck's going on with that. Well, it kind of does sound like Playmates put the kibosh on a lot of that stuff. But we also saw Super 7 accidentally shooting themselves in the foot a little bit, as they did show Carrie, the Mirage comic villain. They showed her as part of the wave and then quickly took that down and replaced it. So apparently she was going to be in there. She did share a lot of the same components of April, so I think she'll probably be in the next wave is my guess. But that was kind of an interesting one. And then Ramen Toys wasting no time. Of course, Ramen Toys making a Dolph Lundgren head sculpt for the Masterverse figure. We did know about that. Well, they jumped right in and they're making a Rat King head based off the old Playmates. So you get that Super 7 an Ultimate Rat King, bam, you jump right in there and you can grab his head, put that on there from the Ramen Toys. It's going to be expensive. I think it's like a $20 head, but if you want to match the Playmates version a little bit better, you can head over to Ramen Toys and pick that up. They make a lot of cool different stuff over there. So that was a note there. And then G.I. Joe, man, rumors flying all week on G.I. Joe. We knew some of these reveals were coming. We just didn't know when. And then, bam, Walmart Con hit us with the pre-order. And it was Big Ben, one of my all-time favorites as a kid. He was way down the line, like Series 11 G.I. Joe or something like that. A great figure at the time, Big Ben. Excited to see him in the classified line. It looks like he's going to be a Walmart exclusive. Same with the Range Viper, another deep cut, but one I absolutely loved back in the day. Loved kind of the brain showing there. I always kind of had them as zombie monster troopers. A lot of time as a kid, they joined up with Cobra Law. I just had to do that. But I did order 2 of those guys. Very, very cool looking figures. Very excited to see those. And a lot of rumors swirling, and we actually talked about this months ago on the channel, that I did think down the line we would see, of course, Tiger Force and as an exclusive as at Target, as we do know. And I said, we'll probably get a Night Force over there at Walmart. Well, it sounds like all signs are pointing towards Night Force exclusive Walmart line. It does make a lot of sense. Gives a retailer their own specific subline, just like Target has. Then you get the main releases that kind of dance in both places. Can you imagine if we still had Toys R Us to this day? How many figures, not just G.I. Joe, but all the lines, how many more figures we would have out there? Man, it would be dangerous times for, it's already dangerous times for our wallet. It would be even worse because, you know, Walmart would have their subline, Toys R Us would have a subline, Target would have a subline. So maybe in some ways it's not a totally bad thing Toys R Us is gone. Kind of tongue-in-cheek. I'd still rather have Toys R Us. But can you imagine? It would have been very fitting for Night Force to go to Toys R Us because it was originally a Toys R Us exclusive way back in the day. But a lot of things are swirling, of course. All about reuse at the end of the day. You get your Falcon redone in the Night Force. You get all these guys going back and forth. You get a regular release, and then their Tiger Force or Night Force or Sergeant Slaughter's Marauders release. You do that, it's the way to get the most out of your molds, as we do know. And the Joe fans, they're going to eat it up with a fork and a spoon. They might even head over to KFC and pick up a spork, as we do know. But a lot of good G.I. Joe stuff this week. Very excited. You guys know me. I love me some G.I. Joes. More the merrier right there. We also saw McFarlane Toys coming in, and McFarlane does not mess around. He is the James Brown of the toy industry. Every single day we got a release of some kind. Well, this week he blew the gasket right off the internet because he did announce his Flash movie wave figures. I don't really know anything about Flash in the movies. I know a little bit of the comics. I know a little bit of the Super Friends back in the day, and that's about it where I stopped with Flash. I didn't watch that 80s TV show. I didn't watch his show on the, what was it, CW or something like that. I didn't watch any of that kind of stuff. But we do know Michael Keaton is coming back as Batman, and that leads McFarlane to say, oh, here we go. So we're getting Michael Keaton, of course, in different scales, 7-inch scale, 12-inch scale. We're getting him unmasked as well. We're getting the Flash characters. But then what really excited a lot of people this week was the Batmobile scale to the figures. Looking at like a $70 to $80 price point. Holy cow, that is a lot of bang for your buck. I am not super sentimental about Batman 89. Of course, I saw it back in the day in 1989 when I was a little kid. It was what it was. It didn't change my life, that's for sure. But man, the nostalgia hit when I saw him pull that out. I saw the figure. I said, you know what? I got to pick this up. So I pre-ordered Batman, Michael Keaton Batman, and I pre-ordered the Batmobile. I got to think those are going to be fabulous sellers for Todd McFarlane. Absolutely cool. And a lot of places even sold out, if you can believe that already. So very cool to see that. Now, we do get the Bat wing coming as well. It sounds like that's going to be only on the McFarlane Toys store. It is going to be made in a lot less quantities, it sounds like, and it's going to be a $249 price tag. So that's an easy pass for me, but some of you hardcore Batman fans, you'll probably be picking that bad boy up, and that thing could be worth some money down the line, that is for sure. So very cool at Todd McFarlane. I think that's going to hit, once again, nostalgia. A lot of people are going to be buying that Batman. I can see a lot of people saying, I just want Batman and the Batmobile, just like me. I'm going to put that on display at my work, something like that. If at the end of the day for $100 you get that, that seems like an absolute steal with some of the vehicle prices. We saw Thunder Tank on the channel this week. I mean, $500 almost on that thing. So take for what you will there. But very cool of Todd McFarlane. Like I said, the hardest working man in the toy business, no doubt right there. We go back to the Walmart Collector Con. We saw Jesse, Clone Commander Jesse, and we saw Kraven from Marvel Legends. Both of those went up. Kind of. It took like 4 hours. For whatever reason, they all sold out basically immediately. Very disappointing. We're like, what the heck is going on? How am I going to get these figures? Finally, they did go back up. I did get those pre-ordered. Very excited for Kraven in the animated series line, the retro carded line, I guess we'll call it. Looks very good. I can't wait to see Kraven on that shelf. I got a shelf of all those together is what I'm doing. So that's going to look really nice. And then Clone Commander Jesse, always cool to get a clone trooper. I just hope these come. They don't get canceled. Everything goes as planned. As Walmart, like we said earlier, a lot of issues over the last couple of years, as we do know. But we're not done with Star Wars. We also got an announcement last week, a little Mandalorian Black series. We got the Tusken Raider Chieftain from, of course, the series. I believe actually Book of Boba Fett. I mean, I guess he's really in the Mandalorian. I know they were in Book of Boba Fett, but I thought they crossed over into the Mandalorian a little bit too. I could just be dreaming. But either way, we're getting the Tusken Chieftain there. Of course, we all love a Tusken Raider. A lot of reuse with this one, but it does make sense. In Star Wars, man, they need some wins. They need some wins badly. I'm just really down on Star Wars. I'm picking them up, but I'm playing the longest of long games. I'm waiting for clearance. I'm waiting for deals. Something's got to give with all these new toy lines, and honestly, these other toy lines, like the GIJOE line, have really stepped their game up, where I feel that Star Wars has dropped their game. So it's an interesting dynamic. Star Wars, one of the all-time biggest properties, but man, they got collectors down in the dumps, and that is never good. That's the lifeblood of the line. We want to believe kids are doing it, but kids aren't buying a lot of that stuff anymore. It's their parents, and we're going to see what happens with Star Wars, but they're having a bumpy road, if you ask me, from where I sit at this table, of course, as you guys know. Whoa, whoa, whoa! Stop the clock! I almost forgot one special bit of news this week, and it is coming from our friends over at NECA. Haulathon still in full swing. We'll see what the rest of the month brings to us. Hopefully some good things, but they did announce a few things from the House of 1,000 Corpses line. One of my all-time favorite properties. We've talked about in that channel before. I actually have a full-sized Captain Spaulding in my garage. I think I've shown that on the channel before as well. But it sounds like NECA getting back into the House of 1,000 Corpses swing. Hopefully the Devil's Rejects, as you guys know, Devil's Rejects, my favorite movie of all time. Yes, you heard it here. But hopefully they get figures of those back out there. But it looks like we're getting back in the House of 1,000 Corpses game, as they did announce the 3-pack of Baby Otis and, of course, Captain Spaulding. These kind of little head knocker-like statues. I don't even know what the technical term for them is. Currently on the shelf, there is a Munsters kind of version of these figures, but it looks like we're getting House of 1,000 Corpses very, very soon. So I'm all in on that one. I love House of 1,000 Corpses merchandise. I'm going to pick these up for sure. But then the big one this week was the re-release of the Cloth Goods Captain Spaulding figure from NECA. Now, this was released quite some years ago. Of course, Sid Haig, who played Captain Spaulding, did pass away, so they just kind of pulled this one off. They just kind of stopped releasing it, as NECA did say at the time they didn't want to feel like they were capitalizing on his death, and I never really saw it that way, because knowing Sid, he would have loved to seen that stuff out there for the fan base to have, but they did pull back the reins on a lot of that stuff. Well, now I think they feel enough time has passed, they're going to start putting this stuff out. So we're getting this as a re-release, different packaging, things like that, but a lot of people missed out back in the day on this one, so it's another opportunity for people. Hopefully we'll see the rest of the Firefly family. Like I said, hopefully they go into the Devil's Rejects. I'll even take the other movie, 3 from Hell. Oh, probably my most disappointing movie of all time. I had such high hopes coming off Devil's Rejects. Kind of missed the mark, but, you know, it is what it is. They can't all be perfect, that's for sure. But some NECA stuff from House of 1,000 Corpses this week as well. We also saw this week Storm Collectibles, which I believe are Big Bad Toy Store exclusives in the United States. So hit the old link in the description below, take you to old Big Bad Toy Store and support the channel at the same time. But we're getting Nightwolf over there, a deeper character into the later years of Mortal Kombat, outside of 1, 2, I guess we'll call it. Very cool looking figure, but to me, I'm probably going to play the long game if I get it at all. Same thing I'm doing with that Kano figure that was just recently released. That Kano figure that was recently released, I'm waiting for a deal, I'm waiting for a sale, I'm waiting for something like that. And if I miss it, I guess I miss it. But you can only get so much stuff, as we all do know. But Kano, Nightwolf, both coming to the Storm, really building out that Mortal Kombat universe, which they are really, let's be honest, the best Mortal Kombat figures in the market today are the Storm collectible ones. Absolutely love what Storm does. Wish they would do more in the wrestling headspace, but I guess my wallet thanks me that they do not do more than they already do. So we do got that going on. And then we're going to finish up this week, of course, course, how do we finish it up after the news is done? We talk album of the week, and the album of the week is the long-awaited, much-anticipated Night Demon, new album from Night Demon. It is called Outsider. You guys know I love Night Demon. You see me wear their shirts all the time. A fairly new band. I mean, they've been around 10 years or so, but they are fairly new. They're out there working the circuit. They're actually going on tour as we're speaking, going out there with Satan, new wave of British heavy metal legends. A lot of people probably don't know Satan. Don't let the name fool you. Check out Satan if you like new wave of British heavy metal, the Iron Maiden style, things like that. Very good. It almost kind of reminds me of Black Sabbath and Iron Maiden joined up. That's kind of what Satan kind of reminds me of. But one of my favorite bands that I've never seen live in concert. So I'm very excited. On March 28th, I will be up there in St. Paul, Minnesota. I will be at that Night Demon show. So if you guys are there, why would you not be? If you're anywhere in the Minnesota area, you better be there. I think the 30th, they're going to be in Des Moines as well. So make sure you hit that one up. 31st, actually, I think it is. But man, oh man, Night Demon, a favorite of mine. Outsider, the new album. I've, of course, heard a few of the songs already. Absolutely love it. They do no wrong in my book. Love the sound, love the feel, love the energy, and there's just something about a three-piece band, like a young Motorhead that always steals my heart and never lets go, like a young Rio. But check out Night Demon, check out Outsider, make sure you pick that stuff up, support the band, all that kind of fun stuff. We need new metal bands to rise up, as a lot of our favorites are retiring, moving on, things like that. We need these bands that got the old school feel alive with some new twist and into the future. We don't need these cookie cutter metal bands, that's for sure. And Night Demon getting it done on a daily basis. Check them out. The new album, Outsider, like I did say. So there it is. There's the toy news, action figure news of the week. Quite an exciting week of pre-orders. There you go. It's all about the pre-orders this week for sure. But a good one. Hopefully we get all this stuff. Hopefully Walmart comes through for us. But we'll see. Time will tell, as we always say. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know your thoughts on the news of the week. Don't forget to like this video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Turn on the old notification bell. As you guys know, we got videos every single day and then some. For Patreon over there, you can get early access to videos like this, bonus content, giveaways, Q&As, you name it. And best of all, you do support the channel. You can also support the channel at ProWrestlingTees.com. Search Kyle Peterson. And don't forget social media. SirPaul64 on Twitter, Instagram, _Kyle_Peterson. Know what I'm doing? I'm rocking and rolling, strutting and strolling my way into the weekend.